So what I'm going to read you tonight is called Hobo at the Door. And this is a story about a family with a mom, a dad. The dad works at the train depot, and there's 5 kids. And their last name is Meinhardt. In the 1930s, it was not uncommon for hobos, tramps, or bums to knock on a particular door to ask for food. Hobos were people who traveled looking for work and worked whenever they could. Tramps traveled and would work, but were more interested in traveling. A bum wasn't interested in working. The hobos rode the rails, and there was a little encampment near the depot that the locals called Hobohemia. The children sometimes explored this area when no one was camped there. There were old fire pits, tin cans, and glass bottles. Those staying at the encampment built fires to heat water, to shave. During the Depression, so many people lost jobs that they would jump a train to look for work. That means they would leap onto a boxcar without paying for a fare and jump off at another town. These were usually men. There was always a lot of hobos around Avoca when Jeanette grew up. They never bothered or hurt anyone. When one of these men knocked on the Meinhardt's door, Winifred might have a chore for them in exchange for a sandwich. Sometimes she would simply give them something to eat. They would sit on the porch while she fixed them a plate and sat there while they ate. Then on Sundays, Winifred would invite them in to eat at the table. One Sunday, after the Meinhardts walked home from church, there was a hobo at the door. "You just wait around and I'll call you when dinner is ready," Winifred told him. Many families had their Sunday dinner cooking in their ovens while at church, but Winifred wasn't one to leave a roast in the oven. In those days, if a family lived close to their church, they could count on their minister to keep the sermon and service to 1 hour. Many would leave a roast or chicken baking. Winifred enjoyed visiting with her friends at church too much to depend on herself to be at home immediately. When dinner was ready, the man sat down at the dining room table with the family. He behaved like a perfect gentleman and appeared clean-shaven. At the end of the meal, Winifred and Russell went to the kitchen to get dessert. The children laughed and talked about the 1 extra potato left in the bowl. Winifred was very good at ensuring enough servings of whatever they had for the number of people at the meal. She had a kettle they filled with peeled potatoes and knew that would be enough. However, when Winifred and Russell returned from the kitchen, that extra potato was gone. Winifred later said she figured she knew who took that potato. The dessert that day was pie. Winifred was good at cutting pies evenly into 7 pieces. So she sliced 8 that day. So that man got meat, potatoes, gravy, a vegetable, and a salad for dinner, and a piece of pie. Russell wondered how the hobos knew they could get a meal at the Meinhardt house. "Yeah, who's the first person they see when they get off the train?" the children teased him. But Russell claimed he never said anything to them. Some say that the hobos, tramps, and bums had secret codes marked on fences and trees and other parts of a house to indicate whether the residents were friendly or would give a meal. Gordon and Jimmy searched the front gate and the fence, looking for symbols, but they didn't see anything. Not everyone in the town was friendly to hobos. Once the neighbor told Winifred that she saw a mutual neighbor chase a man off his property. "But then I saw he went to your house," she said, "so I knew he'd be okay." The neighbor who had chased the man was hard up and probably had all he could do to care for his family. Uncle Roy was one of Winifred's younger brothers. He traveled the train after teaching school in Montana. He might have been considered a tramp, although he was college educated. He hid his money in his shoe. After writing, he went to a store to buy a shirt. They didn't want to sell it to him because they thought he looked like a bum. "I have the money," he told them. Grandma was appalled that he wasn't paying for his fare. But Winifred and the rest of Roy's siblings were more concerned about Roy's physical safety, as he'd been born with a disabled arm. Many men rode the rails because they had no jobs. Many of them were looking for work. They had a destination in mind. Some worked on farms with combine crews. Hired hands worked to reap, thresh, and harvest a crop. Some, coming through Avoca, were on their way to the Civilian Conservation Corps or the Work Progress Administration at Lake Chetek, which was 20 miles away. Russell and Winifred took the verses of Matthew 25:35 seriously. "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in."